So far, whatever we have done in this course comes under synchronous operations. That means whenever a user performs that particular operation, it happens in real time. If it takes some time, then the user has to wait for that operation to complete and see the result. But you don't need the synchronous operations all the time. For example, let's say you have placed some order and that order processing takes some time. The user should not wait for that order to process and he should be able to browse other products at the same time, right? Or let's say if you want to download some file and the file is very huge, maybe like a few gigabytes, then it will take some time to download that file. So do you think the user should wait for the download to complete? No, the user should be able to continue whatever he was doing and this file download should not block him in any way. So we can achieve this with the help of asynchronous operations. An asynchronous operation is something that runs in the background and the user does not have to wait for that operation to complete. So it doesn't block the user's current operation in any way. Apex offers multiple ways for running your Apex code asynchronously, and we are going to talk about all those ways in our coming lectures. First, let's take a look at how a normal operation executes in Salesforce. First, you start the operation and then your code behind that operation starts executing. So you may have some code that will execute and then maybe there is some error that occurred in that code processing. Now, whenever this error occurs, you want to log this error and you want to send this error to a third-party system so that your third-party system can analyze these logs. So this could be a bulky operation and the user should not wait for this operation to complete and see the result. So in that case, what you can do, you can have an asynchronous operation that will send this error to the error logging system and do all the processing. This way your execution will not block and this asynchronous operation will run in the background and your user will immediately see the result. If it is an error, he will see it immediately without waiting for this asynchronous operation to complete. In this course, we have previously talked about how a normal transaction works in Apex. And when we talk about asynchronous Apex, it will execute in its own transaction. So in this operation, there will be two transactions instead of one. So your synchronous transaction will be one and this asynchronous transaction will be second. So remember, whatever kind of asynchronous operation that you will do, it will always execute in its own transaction. The transaction will be different. Now let's take a look at some of the advantages of Async Apex. The Async Apex runs in background, so the user doesn't have to wait for this operation to complete. And this Async Apex code will always execute whenever the system resources will be available on Salesforce servers. So when we talked about governor limits, we know that when you perform a synchronous operation, there are certain set of governor limits that applies to your transaction. But in case of Async Apex, you'll get higher governor limits because Async Apex doesn't execute in real time. It only executes when Salesforce servers have some free resources available, so they can accommodate higher governor limits for these kind of operations. The Async Apex code can be scheduled. This means you can schedule your piece of code to execute at a particular time, maybe weekly once or monthly once or daily once or twice. So it depends on your use case. The Async Apex code can process more number of records. So when we talk about the real-time operations or synchronous operations, again we have to follow the governor limits that applies to those transactions. But in case of Async Apex, you can process more number of records and we will know how. For now, that's all in this video. In the next video, we are going to talk about all the Async Apex features provided by Salesforce.